Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome to New Life Live. So glad that you're with us today. Chris Williams here, licensed marriage and family therapist. I have licensed psychologist,
Hi,
Dr.
Chris.
Alice Benton.
Yep. Hi. Howdy, everybody.
How's it going?
Good.
Good. And I have another marriage and family therapist, Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris.
Hello.
So, Jacqui Mack, what's on your mind today? Hook me up. Talk to me.
Perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Taking another's perspective. I feel like I keep talking about this, but we are having such a terrible time in this day and age being able to hear someone else's perspective that it is genuinely breaking my heart. Every day I have a conversation with someone who is upset with someone else about their perspective, whatever that might be, in whatever context it is. And it just seems to be getting worse. And as I'm reading, I'm going through the letters in the Bible, and as I'm in 1 Peter, well, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, all of it, I'm learning that, like, we were warned about this. We've seen this happen in other eras, and yet we still continue to it just feels like we're being led astray. And Scripture tells us to listen with our heart, to get an understanding. And I just don't see people doing that. And so I want to encourage people as they're listening to think about the fact that when you read the Gospels, we've got different variations on how that all went down. But not because anybody was wrong.
Yeah.
But because they had different jobs, so they saw the world differently. They were in a different proximity to Jesus, and so they saw the whole thing unfold differently. They had a different focus in their own heart, and so they experienced it differently. And so we get all these different vantage points of this really poignant experience, like that we wouldn't have if we didn't have perspective. We couldn't take another's perspective. And I think God created us for relationship and closeness and creativity, as you said, and that requires us to be able to see someone else's perspective. I learned so much from each of you because I can get your perspective about how you're experiencing something that I may experience very differently. And we are limiting ourselves, and I think it is eroding family and relationship. And I'd like for us to be able to just take the other's vantage point.
And I think we need to, need to take that seriously because of what the damage it's doing to us relationally, emotionally. And spiritually, because one of the things is we're coming up, we entered into November here, and we got this big, huge election coming up, and it stirs up a lot of things for a lot of people.
It really does.
Right? And maybe for all of us to one degree or another. And what we tend to lose in that is something that Alice actually talked about in a previous show of confrontation and critical conversations, is the ability to have humility and curiosity. And it's like we can't get there.
Right.
What's in the way?
Yeah. Well, our lack of willingness to engage in anything that requires being critical of something or someone, right? We've heard a lot of pushback about critical race theory, but when I teach about critical thinking, I see struggle in classes. It doesn't have to be about race. It could be about anything we want someone to think critically about. People are getting upset because they're being asked to think critically, and we should be thinking critically about Scripture, about our relationships with one another, about how we do our job, and are we doing it as unto the Lord? But we've made criticism or critical thinking bad.
Well, and just last night, actually, ironically enough, I was reading 1 Peter, and this line that says, love sincerely.
Yes.
Love must be sincere. And so getting into another person's experience with humility and curiosity allows us to be sincere. And also the sincerity is, I don't have to agree with you.
Right. It doesn't take anything from me to hear your perspective.
Absolutely. But I can disagree and love, and even love sincerely.
Yeah.
So, Jacqui, what a huge reminder that we need today. And we're going to be back right after this.
I had been in porn addiction. My past had not been found out at all. Yet I had hit a point in my life where it was time.
Men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Everyman's Battle Intensive can help.
I never divulged what I'd been doing.
Find help today at New Life's Everyman's Battle Intensive.
This is a place that changed my life in such a positive way for Christ, because I could be the Christian man that I'm called to be.
Now the intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, December 6th through the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I cannot say enough what it does in the Christian community for not just men, for their children, for their wives.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us. And I just want to remind all of our listeners out there, everyone who connects with us, that we have a nationwide network of Christian counselors here ready to help. Whatever struggle you are facing, whether it be a relationship issue, a trauma that is affecting your life today, an addiction that you're struggling with, or a loved one's addiction, or just a desire to improve your life, connect with us. Call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we have a call center there ready to take your call and ready to connect you with our nationwide network of counselors. We're going to go right to the phones. We're going to go to Rose in Stafford, Virginia, listening on Sirius XM. Rose, how's it going today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Good. Well, talk to us. Tell us what's happening and how we can help you.
Well, I have a 14-year-old son, and we're a military family, and he seems to really be clinging to a relationship which I think may be a potential bully, and I'm just trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Rose, what signs are you seeing that make you think the friend is a bully? That's very concerning.
At first, I thought everything was okay. I know that their families are believers, but one day my son opened up to me in what sounded like gaslighting from him, and I was surprised to know it was this particular kid. And so I started paying attention because they're on sports teams together, and he's very physical with him. He'll push at him, pull him. One time he tried to get his attention and then walked away and knelt below him. So if he would have responded, he would have fell over him. So he does a lot of physical things. And at one point, I went to a game that my son wasn't at, and he just was overly out loud to where I could hear "Oh, I'll be Jeremiah," which is his name. Thank you. Just things that were just really awkward. Just seemed to be overly.
Well, he's just being mistreated, right?
Yeah,
physically and verbally, and yeah.
Yeah, but my son seems to. After he opened up to me, I was paying attention, and he just seems to kind of brush it off, and is really just settling because his really close friends have already moved away, and so I think he kind of feels like he doesn't have any other options.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other people in your son's life, any other males in his life that may behave that way, that he's witnessed that behavior, and so maybe is taking it as normal?
Definitely, I would imagine, because it's a blended family. My two older sons from previous marriage have since, graduated high school and moved out. But I believe there was some of that dynamic with him growing up.
Some of the dynamic with your husband, or with the other boys? With his brothers, with the older brothers that have now moved out. So he's used to being picked on as the younger brother.
Very possibly. He didn't really tell me about those things, so well after they had moved out.
Okay, yeah.
How hard for you to hear about it after the fact, and your heart must be really stirred up with the desire to protect your son, but now finding out, I didn't even know to protect him before. So I would guess you might be feeling both guilt, some regret, even though you didn't know, and also a lot of anxiety for your son. Is that true?
Yeah.
And as it bothers him, have you been able to talk with him about some assertive tactics that he can start to use to verbalize what he does and does not want from his friend? Do you know how to do that with your son?
I would imagine I do, but the issue that I have is after he opened up to me, whenever I bring things up, because I was reading a book on narcissism and kind of like putting terms to the things that he identified, he's just really like, oh, I don't know, and just really nonchalant about everything. So I can talk to him, but it'll be more or less me talking at him by having a...
Well, you can expect that. He's conflict avoidant. He's been trained by the bigger and olders that he can take it and he should just keep to himself. So expect him to not take it well, but let's still see if we can't get him some steps. You can share them with him even if he doesn't seem like he's really excited about it or gung-ho, because he sounds like he wants to avoid conflict. He's telling you because it's painful, but he also doesn't want you to make a big deal about it.
Right.
So I'd suggest you try taking these steps, and if you can get if you're married currently, if there's another man in the house or in his life, yes, I'd ask you. Go ahead.
Are we married with his dad?
Okay, his dad. I hope his dad can take the lead on this if he's available, but you two can both do it together as well, where both of you as parents would be humble about some of your own deficits in relationship, whether you also were avoidant at times or you were overly aggressive. Share with him that you've also been imperfect, and share a story or two about how you yourselves have worked on it. And then I'd invite him into some role play where you give him lines or you come up with lines with him that he can use with his friend. I don't like it when you fill in the blank, and I ask you to fill in the blank. Give him wording and vocabulary. He may not like this. This isn't fun for any 14-year-old to do, but these are relational skills he needs to see modeled in you and get the training from you. But know that it will take quite some time for him to be able to actually practice it himself. If you find that that's insufficient and you don't have enough breakthrough over time with doing this, then you might bring a counselor in so that the family can get some training together on how to handle this. This is a tough issue to overcome, but it's doable.
And I would have him expect to not feel great about how the other guy responds. I actually had an experience with, as a young adult with a friend who would greet me with a term that I don't like being called. And that's just her way. And I finally said, that's the last one I'm going to be. And she was like, girl, you know I'm just joking. You don't get to joke with me that way. And every time she'd encounter me and she'd come at me with that term, I'd say, no, ma'am, I'm not that friend. Mm-hmm. You can be that friend with somebody else, but not with me. Until eventually we began to spend less and less time together because it was too hard for her to not lead that way. And since she couldn't change that behavior, I limited how much time I spent with her. And eventually we got to where we just don't spend time together at all. Because for her, that's just, that's just like saying, hey, girl. It's not hey, girl to me. It's hey, dog, right? So that boundary, I had to be okay with her pushback.
Yeah. In Rose, I think another real key here, and it's something that Alice was alluding to as well, is that 14 years old is right as males typically over the course of history are coming into a rite of passage. And that rite of passage is guided by another male on what it means to be in relationship, what it means to become a man, what it means to discover ourselves, discover who we are as people. And in that, if there is a void, we make that up on our own. And let me tell you from one example of a kid who made that up on his own, it wasn't a good choice. 14-year-olds don't make good choices on how to be men. So yeah, you get it, right?
You're living there.
She's like, I got the lived experience, bro. It's right in front. And so I would highly, highly encourage you and him to seek out a male mentor, a positive male mentor on what it means to be a man. Because I can see him caught in these two really, really conflicting tug of wars. On one side is, I want friends, I want people. On the other side is to do that, I have to put up with really, really painful stuff with being bullied. And that's his lived experience in the home as well. And so for him to get a reparative relationship with another male, especially an older male who he can respect, can do absolute wonders. And in fact, I want to encourage you and your son to watch a movie called Forged. And in this movie...
Oh my gosh, we're going to... Yes, that movie, that right there, yes.
Yes. There you go, Rose. You're already on it. Let that movie be your guys' guide right now. You know, and we know that life and movies, there's always a gap there between what is fantasy and what's reality, but it gives us a great direction.
Absolutely. So I do have a question. For the mentor, you mean someone outside of his father?
Yeah, I really do.
My husband.
Both and.
Yes.
His father as well, and somebody else outside to add to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dad should have some input on the mentor seeking as well.
Yes. Thank you guys for that. Yeah. So with my boys, I know that, you know, I obviously want to be the primary male guide in their life, but we also talk about other, like his you know, youth baseball coach, his travel coach right now is a really strong person of faith who he looks up to, who played college baseball, all those sort of things that we're like, I want him to be mentored by this guy because he's going to be able to speak things into him that he wouldn't hear from me being his dad.
Right.
Yeah.
And adolescents start to do some distancing themselves from their parents just naturally, and so it's helpful at this stage if they can find a good, healthy, safe mentor as they're making that shift, because they still need that adult guidance. They still need somebody with that wisdom, but the parent is in a different role. The parent is in a much tighter, stricter, problem-solving, got to handle all the business of life role, and a mentor can be someone who isn't concerned about whether or not they made their bed, that didn't get into it with them about did they do their homework, but they can help them focus on whatever that growth area is. So I think the both and, as Alice said, is important. Having Dad be involved in this as well, and having Dad talk about what he thinks about that type of behavior. I think that can be a big part of it too. If your son sees that Dad is kind of rough and rowdy like that too, then he may have a problem going to Dad for support in this area. And so I think that has to be taken into consideration too.
Absolutely. Rose, we're going to send you a copy of How People Grow by Cloud and Townsend. And that, for me, as a young adult, was like, whoa, I didn't get... my ideas of becoming a man in the world were off. And I missed some key things. And if I had that at 14, that would have been... Or if someone in my life had that when I was 14, that would have been hugely helpful. So we're going to send you a copy of How People Grow. And Rose, thank you so much for loving your son, being involved in his life, and calling in. You know, there are these other things that happen, especially in painful relationships, especially in young men, is that when people become painful, porn becomes the solution. And that becomes the petri dish for a growing addiction that could then end up taking people away from their lives and really being soul-crushing. And so one of the things that is obviously near and dear to our heart is providing a solution, providing a way out and a way through, and ultimately true healthy relationship, especially for men. And that's what Every Man's Battle does. Every Man's Battle is this incredible experience that doesn't just alone allow you to walk through the door into sexual health and fidelity and integrity, but it also leads you into a doorway of more fulfilling and deep and rich relationship. One of the things that we do not want people to encounter is a financial barrier to that experience. And so we have scholarship programs. We have scholarship programs for all of our intensives and programs, and Every Man's Battle is a key one in there. In fact, one parent, much like Rose, wrote in and said, our son attended Every Man's Battle. We went to their home on Thanksgiving, and what a transformation our son had made. please use this check. She sent in a check. She said, use this check for a scholarship for someone else who needs it. And again, that's a parent whose son went through Every Man's Battle who also received a scholarship. So, friends, we make all of these things possible because of your partnership. If you have been impacted or have been positively affected by Every Man's Battle, or you want to do that for somebody else, please contribute to our scholarship program. Also, I just want to mention we have one more opportunity. Every Man's Battle is in Dallas, December 6th through the 8th. Guys, if you're struggling in this area, okay, do not wait. Take advantage of it. It's a month away, but it's Every Man's Battle in Dallas, Texas. And again, if finances are a struggle for you, please reach out to us. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and let's see if we can get you a scholarship, and let's see if you get you on this path to your new life through that experience. We'll be back right after this.
I came kicking and screaming. The last 24 years have been filled with pain. I was violently molested and raped from the age of 6 to 13. It has changed everything in my life. This weekend for me has been life-altering. I have realized that God does love me, that this is my story, and that's okay for the first time in a long time.
This is Steve Arterburn, and this is the story of a new life. She came kicking and screaming and now has a changed life. You can be part of offering hope to others as you step out in faith by donating to New Life Ministry.
To make your tax-deductible gift, visit newlife.com and click Donate. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. That's NLM to 28950.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. So glad that you are with us today. And we have myself, Chris Williams, Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris, Dr. Alice Benton, and also Sue in St. Louis, Missouri, who listens to us through Sirius XM. Sue, how's it going today?
Hello.
Hi. What's going on?
Well, I got married almost 6 years ago. I'm a senior citizen, as is my husband. But it seems like there's no emotional intimacy in our relationship. And I'm a very loving, touchy-feely person. And he just doesn't want to hold me, touch me. Even if he kisses me, it's just barely touch my lips. And I've been dealing with this now for our whole married life, which is short, but it wasn't like that when we were dating. And I'm just confused, and I feel emotionally bankrupt.
Uh-huh.
I used to be a real happy-go-lucky person, and I'm not that person anymore.
Oh, yeah. And when have you talked to him about this?
Yeah.
And what's his
just,
response?
I'm too old to change.
Oh, that's what he says about himself?
Yeah. He's
okay.
too old to change.
He's too old to change, but he changed from the guy who was dating you to the guy who's married to you. Because the guy who was dating you was affectionate.
Yep. Held my hand everywhere we went. Put his arms around me when we were walking down the street or wherever we were, sitting on the couch side by side.
So this has
It's
been
like-
so lonely and confusing to lose that guy and be married to a man you probably wouldn't have chosen given the way he is now. Are you aware
Yeah.
of any rupture in the relationship or a major medical problem or life change in addition to just the fact that you got married?
Well, I found out on our wedding night that because we're both Christians, I probably have been a Christian for a lot longer years than he has, but I found out that there was not going to be any sexual intimacy, which that was kind of hard for me.
You
but I
you
just
found that out
prayed.
on the wedding night because he told you on the
Yeah.
wedding night that he didn't want to have sex ever?
He said he couldn't.
And he didn't tell you that
He didn't-
before.
He didn't tell you that before you got married.
And why can't he?
Well, he says it's a physical prostrate problem,
Okay.
but I think it's more of a addiction to alcohol problem, which I didn't know about.
Oh,
Is-
okay. Yeah, because that's where my mind went, Sue, is like there's got to be some addictive process involved because he has the ability for affection. And so if he's affectionate and stops, that means the affectionate part of him is still in there and it's got to go somewhere.
And I have the sense that he was affectionate before in the dating, and he may be able to be affectionate. But I hear this from women sometimes. They don't want to do the hugging and the touching because then the husband expects sex. And so I wonder how much that might be true for him, that there's no touching you and hugging you and no caresses or affection because then you might expect sex, and that's not something he's able to participate in or willing.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But I've
Oh man, we just lost Sue. So let's stay with it. So what is our next steps for Sue here?
Well, Sue, as he has told you, he just can't change. I want you to take a strong stand against that this marriage means more to you, and hopefully if there's some love left that you have for him, that means more to you. You're not willing to settle for this. So although you can't, of course, force him to change or get help, I want you to boldly revisit that statement and let him know it's just this loneliness that we both have, and I'm sure you're feeling it too, husband. This is not working for me, and I know there is better accessible to us if we will just get the help that we need to get beyond this. Even if we can't have full sexual intercourse, there are other things that we can do to build back to the bond we had when we were dating. So I want us to get into couples counseling together. See what he says about that, and if he's willing to. I suspect he'll be frightened, and maybe he's carrying a lot of shame about this because he couldn't even tell you until after you were married. So if he is not willing to go into counseling, then Sue, I hope you will, because a counselor can then help you to strategize, to set up the right levels of request to intimacy. And if your husband remains unwilling and so detached from you and active in his alcoholism, then there are things you need to do to protect yourself from the choices that he is making. And so we hope you let us connect you with a New Life counselor. Getting into an Al-Anon group, if you don't have that
That's
kind
good.
of information, what can you do if a family member is struggling with addiction? That's where you'll get informed and the strength and community that you need to face this and come against it.
Yeah. Well, I said our affection has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that addiction does, is it becomes our primary attachment, that the thing we're most affectionate about. And the other aspect of that, especially something like alcohol, is it numbs.
Yeah.
It shuts down the system, especially the emotional system. That's its power, that's its impact. It's an inhibitor, meaning that it inhibits us from or takes away sound and good judgment, but also numbs us out to ourselves and the people around us. So I'm so glad that you mentioned of that piece about Al-Anon, Alice, because we really have to address this problem with alcohol before we can really address the problem in the relationship as well. So we hope that's helpful. We are going to send you a copy of Take Your Life Back. And thank you once again for calling in. And we're going to take a break, but we're going to be back right after this to take more of your calls.
I had been in porn addiction. My past had not been found out at all, yet I had hit a point in my life where it was time.
Men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Every Man's Battle Intensive can help.
I never divulged what I'd been doing.
Find help today at New Life's Every Man's Battle Intensive.
This is a place that changed my life in such a positive way for Christ, because I could be the Christian man that I'm called to be.
Now the intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, December 6th through the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I cannot say enough what it does in the Christian community for not just men, for their children, for their wives.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. So glad that you are with us today, and we're going to go right to the phones. We're going to go to Martha in Visalia, California, who connects with us through our app. Just a great reminder that we have a great app. Wherever you get your apps on your smartphones or devices, download New Life Ministries, and that is a great way to connect with us. Martha, you're connecting with us today, so tell us what's going on and how we can help you.
Hi, I'm calling because I've been married. We have been married for 36 years now. We have always struggled with pulling back. I finally realized or learned that my husband is an avoider, and I'm anxious. And I believe this was the whole struggle between us, that we didn't know what was going on. He hasn't been, because he's an avoider, every time we have a problem, I want to talk about it. I want to resolve it. I didn't have the skills, and he would just pull away, and things hasn't been resolved. So I finally understood where this is coming from, and I let him know what's going on. I got to last year, it was so bad that we weren't talking, for 10 years. Anyway, finally I decided that I wanted to separate just so I can work on myself. It was getting too much, stressful. So we separated for a few months. He had finally a recognition or like a revelation from God that he wants to take responsibility for his action, and he kind of understood where I'm coming from. So we got back together, but he hasn't been. We're trying to listen to programs about marriage, relationships, and things. But again, I feel like dragging his feet to work on issues. He has been on medication.
Have you, Martha? Let me jump in. Have you guys gone to couples counseling?
We have tried. Every time, either he doesn't feel comfortable, or I feel like our issues are personal, like from our backgrounds. So I feel like it's better to deal with our issues separately, and sometimes the counselors recommended that, but it doesn't go anywhere.
Okay.
So we have
so Martha, what's the question for us today?
The question is, first, how can I deal with it? The second is, the other question is that his psychiatrist finally, because he has his records, been on medications for depression and sleeping disorders. So the psychiatrist recommended an outpatient intensive program for him.
Okay.
And I have been the one seeking to find this program. He asked me if I can call the insurance.
So yeah, hold on. Let me jump in here. Right, you're telling me what you're doing, but how can we help you?
If you can recommend a program that maybe Christian-based. He was kind of hesitant about Christian-based because he didn't want to the program just focus on...
So Martha, let me just jump in here. You're doing a lot of work for him, correct?
Yes.
So in a lot of unhealthy relationships, and especially marriages, what we have is this really, really tough dynamic. And that is where one person overfunctions and the other person underfunctions.
Yes.
And all of the attention typically goes to the person who is underfunctioning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reverse that today. You know what the problem is?
Yeah.
You're doing too much, friend. You're just doing too much.
Your anxiety. Your anxiety has you running circles around him, trying to make this marriage better. And he's sitting in his avoiderness and his depression, waiting on you to find the solution for yourself, because he could just wallow in the avoidance and be fine. So you're doing all this movement because you want things to be different, whereas it seems like he's content with where it is.
He is. It seems like he is, unless I called for separation.
Okay, but let me go there. So, Martha, when you call for separation and you separate, what it does is it shocks his system into remorse. But you know what it doesn't do?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't change anything. You know why? Change requires doing something over a long period of time. Doing something different over a long period of time.
It sounds like the thing that he did was validate that you're probably right, he should do more. And that was enough for you guys to get back together and him still not do more.
What was that again? It validated what again?
It validated your belief. It validated that he needs to do more. He kind of understood what you were saying.
So he admitted what is true, but I don't think he did much about it. But you still reunited.
Without there being any work, without there being a plan, without him going to any meetings, without him finding his own program so that he can get well, you came back together on the strength of the confession that, yes, dear, you're right. I haven't been connected. I haven't been showing up. I haven't been emotionally present. He said, yes, I'm right, but he didn't do anything. You are still doing all the doing.
Which is so unfair and unsustainable for you. This is an awful situation to be in. Are you again at the point where you're feeling like you can't tolerate it and you have to separate?
I'm still having hope because he recognizes that, yes, he needs to work on himself, but he's still dragging his feet. I know.
So that's the part. It's him dragging his feet. If you stopped chasing treatment for him, would he start doing the work to get better?
It doesn't seem like it, no.
And that's the fear, Martha, that you have to confront.
Okay.
Right? If I don't do anything, he won't. And that creates a painful reality for you. There's your answer.
Yeah, your anxiety is saying, I have to do this or he won't do anything.
Yeah.
So you have to tell your anxiety, if I do this, he won't do anything. Because it doesn't matter what you do, he's the one who needs the treatment. Yes, we all have our stuff and we should all be working on ourselves and being mindful. I think you mentioned that you didn't have the tools to address the issues in a way that was healthy, and that caused some problem. And so you can see and reflect on how you maybe showed up with your anxiety, and maybe was angry and aggressive, and maybe raising your voice and pointing out his flaws and criticizing him. You see that, and you're doing work to figure out, how can I do that differently? I would say for you to continue in that work, being in therapy with someone who can help you navigate ways to not act out the anxiousness in trying to fix him, I think could be beneficial for you, that maybe we could connect you with a New Life therapist. And I know you had mentioned doing couples therapy, or looking for a center for him, an inpatient or outpatient intensive treatment for him. There was something about it not being Christian because he has feelings about that. So could you take a moment and finish that thought?
Oh, he was just concerned that, a Christian program would just spiritualize things, and, and because he has issues with God too.
Okay.
Like he
So that's great. So you let him figure that out. You let him find it. He has criteria.
So, my question is that if I don't, push him to do things, I am just left with nothing. That's
what you're avoiding, Martha. That's what we're saying. That's the reality you need to confront.
Your anxiety is making you work to make him something he's not.
So there's a fundamental truth. We can't make another adult human being fill in the blank.
So should I just accept that and just live?
Hold on. I think if you start with I think if you start with accepting that, you then can go to work on yourself on what you need. Because there's a critical question that or statement that you haven't yet answered for yourself. Not that anyone's asked it, but let me be clear that you haven't said to your husband, here is exactly what it means to be married to me. It's your job to either fulfill that or not. It's not mine. My job is to be clear on what it means to be married to me. My job is to be clear on what it means to have a healthy marriage. My job is not to make you be married to me or make you engage in a healthy marriage. Does that make sense, Martha?
And accepting doesn't mean you just wallow in it. It's just the acknowledgement of the reality. So you accept the truth that is, and then you can start to make plans on how you can change that for yourself.
Really highly recommend you get into a counselor, help you see this way more clearly. We're going to send you a copy of Take Your Life Back that's going to help you see what's yours and what's his and how to differentiate that out. Because, Martha, this is a painful experience. This is not how God has designed marriage for you or your husband. We're going to be back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for your life and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. So glad that you are with us. If you are struggling with something in your life today, you do not have to struggle alone. Give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Share with us what's going on, and we can connect you to a resource to help you and take those next right steps to work through your struggle instead of suffering in your struggle. Again, that's 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We're going to go to a final call today. We're going to go to Janet in Flint, Michigan, listening on Sirius XM. Janet, how's it going today?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, thanks.
Good. Well, what's going on?
I'm calling because my grandson, who is 26 years old, is incarcerated out of state. And recently he shared with me that he's been praying with a Muslim group and he's considering converting. And my question is, as a Christian, a born-again Christian, and he has grown up in the Christian faith, how can I approach him given this set of circumstances? And I'd also like to share with you that he confided in me that he's been attacked a number of times by the inmates in the prison system or the facility that he's in. So I think this is a form of him having fellowship because he's so far away. He doesn't have any family or friends in the state that he's in. And he's now been approached by this group of Muslims to pray, asking him to pray with them. And he told me he's been praying 5 times a day, and he's considering converting. So how do I approach him given this set of circumstances?
Janet, how close are you with your grandson? Would you give us an idea of the state of relationship with him? You speak to him kind of frequently?
Oh yes. I call him at least 3 times a week. I've always been very close to him. He's been estranged from his parents since he was 15 years old.
Wow.
And he's very close to me.
What caused the estrangement?
To be honest with you, his mother, whom he lived with, and he have never discussed the details, but I do know that he was involved in initially marijuana, and then he got involved in pills. So I think his behavior and his mother just put him out of the home.
At 15?
At 15.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you already shared your concern that he is considering leaving Christianity when that's what he grew up with?
Oh, yes. I talked with him about that, and he listened, to what I had to say. I was trying real hard not to be angry or to demonstrate that I was angry with him, but to lovingly try to talk with him about the circumstances and what he had shared with me.
Yeah.
And to me, that sounds like the right path. I might be out on an island here, but he needs to stay alive. He's in a very difficult situation, and the Christians haven't come to his aid, apparently, right? The group of Muslims are coming and saying, hey, brother, we can support you, be one of us. I just trust God so much that I feel probably less concerned than everybody else about this. He has grown up in Christianity. He knows who Jesus is. And so reading the Torah or the Old Testament isn't going to be damaging, but what could be is to attack the people who are showing him the kind of love that we are to show. And so if he is feeling safe with them, hopefully it's their reading, and they are praying and they are fellowshipping, and he is still his own person. And God's not done with him yet. I trust that the Holy Spirit has him, and that God will work all things together for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So that this may be a safe place God is hiding him for right now. I'm reminded that David had to go and hide out in the Philistine camp. And that wasn't ideal. I'm reminded that where David was once revered by Saul, he was then chased down by him, and so he had to go and find some place to hide out and be safe. And yet he never lost his love for God. He never forgot who he belonged to. And so I would trust what's been instilled in him, and trust the Holy Spirit living within him, and just continue to pray for him and be there and available with him, and an open ear, so that if something is off, you can speak into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm really proud of you that you already addressed your concerns with him. And I usually recommend that we don't do that over and over and over again, but rather if we sense God nudging us to, versus our anxiety telling us we got to convince him not to do this, because repetitive truth doesn't tend to change a person's stance. It annoys them, and then they shut down and don't want to talk to us anymore. So as you have already shared your truth, I agree with Jacqui that you become more of a listener, and that you ask him questions to try to understand the draw. But don't keep trying to convince him of what you know to be true. But do ramp up your prayers behind the scenes and add fasting to it, and get a group of people who care about this man to join you in prayer and fasting.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
so good in that, Janet. Thank you guys so much for that guidance with Janet, because I was sitting here with this deep conviction, and it's from the book of James. It says, "What is it good to see a man in need and only pray for him and not take care of his needs?" Because as you were saying, Jacqui, if I'm in a situation where I'm already dealing with an abandonment trauma, right? Mom kicked me out at 15, and I'm not saying that my behavior wasn't dangerous or out of control, but instead of addressing on what's happening in this kid's life, he was just left out in the cold. And so we all need a place to belong. Now he's in a place where his life is threatened. So he has two primary needs: the need to be safe, the need to be protected, and the need to belong. And this group came in and gave him both. We can't overstate the power of that. And so I think that there's a good call for us Christians, a good conviction for us Christians, is who is in need around us that maybe we can provide a place to belong and a place to be safe. Mm-hmm. Because if I tell him Jesus loves you, that's one thing. But if I show him the love of Jesus, that's something completely different.
You got it, Janet.
Yeah.
Now, I will add that I don't think it's spiritually neutral to pray to other gods. I think that can be spiritually dangerous to do, but I don't think we can easily convince him of that, which is why I think love, support, and prayer behind the scenes have the best chance of helping him to choose the faith of his youth.
Yeah. And I also think to add...
go ahead,
Janet.
I didn't want to push him away from me, because I know that he trusts me. And so when he shared with me what he was doing, I said, okay, this is something that he felt that he needed to do, because he has no one there in the prison. And so I was asking, the Lord, well, what should I do to help him, given the set of circumstances that he's faced with?
And that's great. Keep that prayer alive, Janet, because you are that grandmother. By the way, the grandmother we all wish we could have. Mm-hmm. I mean, your love for him, your involvement, engagement, and to support what Alice said, that is going to have its effect. That's going to have its impact on them. Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you for loving your son. We're actually going to send you a Life Recovery Bible to send to him to see if that would be helpful. Thank you all for being with us today.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.